The BlackBerry PlayBook. A tablet released at a time of great change, BlackBerry was just beginning to struggle as a company overall, and eyeing the recent announcement of the iPad circa 2010, 5 months later, in September of 2010, they would announce their own try at a tablet named the PlayBook. In today's video, we talk a little bit about the PlayBook's history and see what it can still do in 2025. So I hope you stick around and enjoy. Diving quickly into the hardware specifications of the PlayBook, we have a very nice 7-inch display, and honestly, in my opinion, that's nicer to hold than most 10-inch tablets. 10-inch tablets are just a bit too much in my opinion. Onboard processor is a Texas Instruments OMAP 4430, and that's the same one that's in the 2011 Droid Razr. Little fun fact there. RAM-wise, we have a healthy 1GB, which is decent for 2011. And lastly, battery and camera-wise, we have a healthy 5,300 mAh battery, which gives off battery life that can last all day, even today, which is pretty good. And the camera is 5 megapixels. Not the best, not the worst. Now compared to devices like the iPad and various Android tablets that would come out around the same time, circa 2011, the BlackBerry PlayBook never had as many apps. Now sure, it still had a good couple thousand at its peak, but then you remember, even in 2011 alone, Apple's App Store had well over a massive 300,000 apps, which in turn means that flash forward to today, you can still have a good amount of fun with something like an iPad too. But what can you still do with a PlayBook, you ask? Well, it might not be a lot, but I did find a few neat things you can still do, so here we go. Starting off first on a list of things you can still do is, shockingly, YouTube. YouTube works well via the site S60Tube, which I'm pretty sure is designed for Symbian phone browsers, but it seems to work fine on the PlayBook's browser. And as you're seeing here, searching YouTube for videos works perfectly fine, and then you simply click the video you want, scroll down, and press download. Now it doesn't actually download anything, but rather it plays the video quite gracefully inside the browser itself. Yes, it's janky, but I'm not complaining because it works. Not the best resolution, but it works, and full screen also works. Pretty neat. Another thing you might be surprised that works is Discord. Now sadly, it's once again browser related, but it is what it is. Discord Wireless Application Protocol is made by the same person who made the J2ME Discord client, so it's quite well made. It's pretty much just a Discord client inside your browser, but unlike normal Discord for web, it's truly scaled down so it works in very old browsers. And with this, as you're seeing here, despite the jankiness, it works quite well. Seeing chats channels, seeing people talk, and sending messages all works. Very fun stuff. Now lastly, another neat thing you can do on the PlayBook, although it kind of feels like a browser showcase at this point, is weather. Weather can be checked via the URL wttr.in. Go check it out in your own browser because it's very simple, pretty neat stuff. And with that, you could simply check the weather in a very simple way, all text-based, and it works on the PlayBook quite well via a touchscreen. Fun stuff. Now I mentioned there was a lack of apps, but even with that being said, this device still saw a lot of major mobile games of the early 2010s. Classics like all the Angry Bird games, like Classic, Seasons, Rio, Space, they're all there. There's of course Cut the Rope, because of course there is. And not to mention my favorite, Plants vs. Zombies. A timeless classic that I've always enjoyed, and it helps that this device is just good to hold. Basically what I said earlier, not too large of a device, not too small. Another game that works pretty fun is Fruit Ninja. Well, actually a rip-off version of Fruit Ninja. It's actually an Android app, more on that later. And lastly we have PSP emulation. Nothing I tried worked, which is pretty sad because there's actually a homebrew version of Minecraft out there that I thought would be hilarious to try to run on the PSP emulator on the PlayBook, but sadly nothing worked. I tried a couple games and it just gave me a black screen. But emulation aside, lots of nostalgia, treasure trove of games, lots of fun. Not as good as the competitors like Android and iPad, but still pretty fun stuff. I give it like a 6 out of 10. Maybe 7 out of 10. Now I know we covered browsing a little bit earlier with general built stuff like the Discord thing and the YouTube thing, but When an app or a website doesn't work inside the default browser, what do? Well, as many of my videos have said, Opera Mini is normally the savior. Somehow, the Opera servers are still operating. Yes, it'll brute force it, rendering will be very broken sometimes, but as you're seeing here, a lot of text-based websites like news, those work very well. More demanding websites like Apple, it looks atrocious because it's just trying to brute force load the website. No certificate errors, no security errors, but yeah, it's very mangled and broken because it's just older rendering. BlackBerry's own website, it's a bit better, but it's still pretty broken. So basically what I'm getting at is, Opera is awesome, it still lets me download things, it still lets me browse the web, but focus on text-based stuff instead. And also, the day that Opera shuts down the servers for this, it'll be fully useless because it's all cloud-based. So, note to Opera, keep this running as long as you can. Web browsing on the playbook via Opera, which is an Android version. Once again, more on that Android stuff later. Yeah, 7 out of 10 I guess? Maybe 5 out of 10 because a lot of the sites are broken, but it's still cool to see it work. As you saw earlier in the specifications, this thing does feature a 5 megapixel camera, so just for fun, let's put it to the test and see what it can do. Sit back and relax. And that was BlackBerry's attempt at a tablet. Announced in 2010 and released later on in 2011, it would go on to try to compete with the iPad and various Android tablets. And it would go on to sell around 2 million units or so, but compared to the competition, well, yeah. It is a good tablet. It's well built and it runs BlackBerry 10. To this day, it's a phenomenal OS in my opinion. It's fluid, it's smooth, and it uses those live tiles for multitasking that most phones use today. Did BlackBerry copy WebOS? Well, everybody copies WebOS. I think WebOS has had its corpse picked clean at this point, but that's a video for another day. I love WebOS. Palm phones were awesome. But yeah, the playbook. They would also go on later on to try Android support. I did mention I'd get to that, and here it is. Android support was kind of half-baked. You had to convert the APKs over to bar formats, and you can't even sign those anymore. Basically, you need to sign apps for them to run, so it's kind of useless these days. And it was just a convoluted process to run Android apps. That's why I only really ran the Fruit Ninja one and the Opera one. But it's still cool, I guess, that you can run kinda up to Android 2.3 applications, although it's just annoying how it works. Overall, this has been the BlackBerry Playbook, BlackBerry's attempt at a tablet. Do you guys have any fond memories of it yourself? Good memories, bad memories, back in its prime. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's a fun little device. Don't really think you should buy it these days, outside if you're a collector maybe, or you want some nostalgia. But other than that, probably not. Hope you guys have a great day, night, evening, or whatever time it is for you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.